Welcome back to our coverage of the late signing period. These are the top recruiting classes in 2010. We'll just let everybody know it's been very tight. You can basically interchange these top three: Ohio State, followed by North Carolina and Memphis. We just talked to John Calipari. So now we got to talk to the new guy in town in Memphis. That is Josh Pastner. He's now joining us over the phone. Coach, what is it like for you, just being a young guy and just thinking about this? You're bringing a top three recruiting class into Memphis in your first ever recruiting cycle.
Well, let me tell you this. First of all, thank you for having me. And I'm just wondering, do I get moved down on the rankings? Is Memphis getting moved down to number 3 because of I'm just 32 years old? I don't know if that's because of the seniority.
You know what? That's up to Paul B. and Cardi.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
That's up to Paul B. and Cardi. I think there's something going on.
Josh, you know I still love you, man. You know I still love you.
He's the best. He is a good man. But, no, obviously having an opportunity to have the number 1 class is a lifeline of the program. I mean, recruiting is a lifeline of the program. And let me tell you this. Great coaches, and you know what? Paul and I talked about this last summer. Great coaches are ones that can win a lot of games with no talent. I don't want to be a great coach. I have zero desire to do that. I want to make sure we have really good student athletes. If you get that type of players, and you're able to do that, and the coach can put them in positions to succeed, and for them to play hard, you're going to have a shot to win a majority of your games. And the credit for us having that type of class is a credit, obviously, for the Memphis program, the success that it's had here for so long, for so many years. Obviously, the many, many great coaches that have been here, the many great players, the many great teams. And you talk about the fan base. The Tiger Nation fan base is off the charts. I would put it up against any team in America, best fans in the country.
Well, Josh, you certainly sound relaxed, and we can understand why. You did most of your damage in the early portion of the signing period, and this is what you did. All those signatures coming in the early signing period. We go into Will Barton, the number 1 overall shooting guard in the nation. We like to call him Will the Thrill. He's also hooking up with a Memphis kid in Joe Jackson. What is that backcourt going to look like when you got Barton, Jackson, Kendrick, and Crawford all into the mix?
Well, what it does is it gives you an opportunity to score a lot of points. We obviously lost just yesterday. Elliot Williams announced that he's going pro after 1 year here. Decided he's going to put his name in the draft. He is going to sign with an agent. And from what we're hearing, he's going to be a first-round pick. So when you lose a guy like that, you've got to make sure that you're replacing. You're losing a pro. You've got to replace guys with high-level players. I mean, those are the facts. And when you're getting guys like Will Barton and Joe Jackson, Jelon Kendrick, guys like that, you're able to not take such a hit when you lose guys to the NBA. And because obviously these young men's goals are to eventually get to the NBA. And if we do our job and coach them up and they have a chance to win a lot of games, they're going to have that opportunity to do that. So it's a great testament for these young men, Jelon Kendrick and Will Barton and the Joe Jacksons and Antonio Barton and Chris Crawford, Hippolyte and Tarek Black, for all these 7 guys who say, I want to have a chance not only to play at a high level, but for us to have a chance to win a national championship. Kind of like what Coach was saying before, what Coach Cal was saying before. Guys want to play together. They want to do that. They want to have a chance to win big, and that was one of our main selling points with this class.
Well, let's talk about Hippolyte Shafak. You mentioned his name. He's a kid, big old power forward, originally from Cameroon. Had a conversation with his AAU head coach, Jim Hart. It says the difference with some of these kids from other countries is they come into the fold and they are so hungry and humble because they haven't paid attention to us doing this recruiting talk, basically. What have you seen in that way from Hippolyte?
Well, Coach Hart, you're exactly right. One of the fine young men in the business. Coach Hart is just a good man. And Hippolyte, you're exactly right. He's just a really good, hard-nosed, put the hard hat on, roll the sleeves up, put the working boots on, and let's get to work. And he plays hard. I like to talk about it, that he's got an unbelievable motor, long arms. I think he's very underrated. Not a lot of people had seen him throughout the summer. And so he is a talent as in terms of his ability to play hard. There's things he needs to work on, but just like Coach Hart said, he's very humble, and he plays every possession like it's his last possession. And with those type of guys, you win a lot of games with.
And you always try to go about doing it the right way, and that brings me back to Chris Crawford. He says on the recruiting trail, you and your program was the only program out there that did not go with negative recruiting. You guys never badmouth any other program out there. What does that say about your approach to recruiting?
Well, you're right. We were very fortunate to get Chris Crawford. I mean, he's a big-time shooter. Again, another guy that's underrated. Guys like Hippolyte, Chris Crawford, Tark Black, Antonio Barton, those guys are underrated around the country. But Chris Crawford's a deadly shooter. He's got really good size. But, our focus in recruiting is we want to focus on us, on Memphis, on our fan base. We want to talk about all the positives. By nature, fundamentally, I'm a positive guy, and that's the way that we want to be. We want to make sure the environment's extremely positive for these young student athletes, and the way that we go about it within the recruiting world, we want to keep it positive and upbeat and focus on the positives about Memphis.
Coach, we always love talking.
Hey, I got to tell you, I'm looking at it on the screen right now. You got to change my picture, man. That's back from the old days. I cut the sideburns. If my wife saw that, they'd say, get a new picture up there.
What are you saying about sideburns, Coach? I mean,
get rid of them. I got some players in here looking to say, Coach, get rid of the sideburns.
I got sideburns right here. I don't know what you're trying to say.
I got the same sport coat, though. I got the same, but you look, you look good. You can go to be a male model.
And that recruiting class, we're dropping them. I'm talking to Paul Biancardi. You're now in the 10-11 range, something like that. Hey, Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck not talking to us in the NIT selection show next year like we had to do this time around.
Hey, let's do it. Let's get to the NCAA tournament next year. I'm with you on that.
That sounds good. Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
So Coach Pastner doesn't have those sideburns. We just want to make sure everybody knows with that. But another great recruiting class. What does this do for Coach Pastner as he really tries to put his stamp on Memphis basketball and get out of the shadow of a guy like Coach Calipari?
Well, he got out of it quickly. What Josh Pastner did by signing a top-level class without even coaching a college basketball game, that is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And he coaches on the court this year, wins 24 games. Adrian, this young guy is set to be a star.
Absolutely. You can hear from the conversation he was having with LG that he has a vision and he can articulate the vision. And I was sold. I was like, wow, let me get down to Memphis.
You want to play.
But exactly. But the style of play, he wants to defend. He wants to play with a fast tempo. And most of the guys that he's recruiting, they want to get out and do what they naturally do. Get out, run, jump, have some fun. And look at some stats. They play excellent basketball. But again, he's a natural leader even for such a young coach.
So the Memphis Tigers doing what people wanted to see them do, especially in Memphis, keeping a lot of those local kids like Joe Jackson home, getting them as the #3 recruiting class in the nation.